We're going to record this meeting. If you don't wish to be seen, you can just turn off your camera, but they're recorded for those that cannot be here tonight, and they can always refer back to the link. We have Michelle here. Michelle, want to wave hello?
Hello.
Michelle. And Alyssa couldn't be here tonight. She's not feeling well. That is our board. We're here to support you. Any questions, you can always, we'll put our email in the chats, and please let us know. And put in the sign-in sheet. Louis is going to put that in the chat. If it does not work, the link doesn't work in the chat, you can always go to the website and the sign-in sheet is there as well. Christine, can you pull up the minutes so we could
Wow.
All right, give me a moment. Give me a couple moments because I'm using a double screen and I'm looking for my mouse.
Okay, while you get that, we're gonna start off. Danielle, are you ready?
Yeah, whatever you need.
Am I? Yep. Am I ready?
Okay, we'll
Yes.
wait. We're gonna
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's fine. I have my report. So I'm actually, good evening, everyone. I'm excited to see all of you. And I am going to kind of reiterate a few things that I went over during the CEC meeting. One of the things, Francis, that I just wanted to let you know is that I did mention at the, oh my God, what's that other meeting? The second meeting. There's the
DLTs?
no,
Yeah.
I mentioned it at
See?
it's the CEC and then afterwards the business meeting. Sorry.
The business.
I've had a crazy day. I did mention at the business meeting that to remind both President's Council and CEC that you guys are supposed to meet twice a year together as President's Council and CEC. So I don't know if your board wants to reach out to members of the CEC to schedule that, and I would be happy to support in any way that I can. I see Michelle is here.
Michelle can help us with that.
Yep, Michelle might be able to facilitate that with Carly to see when you guys could get together and have those meetings, because we haven't really had them in the past, and it really is like the big meeting of the parents. You know, it's a good thing to kind of talk about your goals, your focus areas, and the work that you want to see happening across the district from a parent's perspective. So I do encourage you guys to
Is that always the case, or
it's always been the case, but in District 25 we haven't done it since Lorraine.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know that you have CEC members sometimes come to your meetings, but it's supposed to actually be a meeting with the CEC and President's Council. So
Is it just a meeting with us two talking about the goals, or is it an open meeting with all of us there?
it's an open meeting with the President's Council and CEC, and I guess Francis and your board, you would speak with Joe around how you wanted to organize that. But it's a nice thing to have parent leaders from across the district get together and really start talking about some of the things that you'd like to see continue, or you know.
Actually, I think that's a great idea. It's a good way to like basically branch out.
Yeah. So it is required by law, just put it out there, but we haven't done it in a while.
Basically, we got to
So if you could do it, it'd be great. And like I said, I'm happy to support, and maybe Michelle can kind of touch base, you know, through Carly as well. Okay. I know that many of you have heard about the Universal Mosaic Curriculum, and the DOE is working to develop that curriculum program, which is a new comprehensive, culturally diverse ELA and math curriculum for all students in grades K to 12, set to launch in fall of 2023. In order to receive feedback from school communities to guide the development of this new curriculum, which has not been developed yet, but it is leaning towards a co-creation of this work. And Francis, you can speak to that a little bit about the conversation that we had that I thought was a great idea. The DOE is hosting 4 virtual town halls with opening remarks from Chancellor Misha Porter on all dates. The town halls will also provide opportunities for students to engage in small group dialogue in order to center students' experience in curriculum development. So I will send the flyer to you so you can have, or Louis, I see that you're on there and you are always so good with being inclusive of that, to share the flyer in the chat. And there's registration details if anyone is interested, and we encourage all to attend via Zoom. And as PTA president and parent leaders, you might want to have information around that in case families have questions at your school. So 2 of them have already happened. And one of them is happening right now, and one of them is tomorrow. So
Okay.
they were held November 9th and November 13th and November 15th, which is today from 6:30 to 7:45, and tomorrow, November 16th, from 6:30 to 7:45. And that that meeting is going to be held in English, Haitian, Creole, Korean, and Urdu. And if you have any questions, you can email mosaicurriculum@schools.nyc.gov. Okay. Next is the update on the social emotional screener for students in grades K to 12. And I'm here to answer any questions that parents may have about that. I know that there were some school communities that did have questions about the DASA screener. So as shared by the mayor and chancellor in December 2020, the New York City DOE is planning the implementation of strengths-based social emotional SEL screener for the 2021-2022 school year. It is a tool to advance the implementation of our multi-tiered social, emotional, and mental health support in schools, building on historic investments the NYC DOE has made over the past several years. By administering the screener and analyzing corresponding screener data, schools will be able to identify students' social emotional competencies, identify students who may benefit from additional SEL support, and identify opportunities to strengthen the foundational support provided to all students, including through SEL academic integration, expansion of SEL programs like Harmony, Ruler, Restorative Practices, and Health Education, along with the hiring of social workers and expansions of programs providing Tier 2 and 3 supports, and create a strong foundation from which schools can leverage SEL data to support students. The New York City Department of Ed is doing this work in partnership with Urban Assembly, who will provide on-site implementation support to schools, and Aperture, who created and manages the DESA tool. The DESA is a strengths-based, CASEL-aligned, norm-referenced rating scale. It includes 40 Likert scale items aligned to 8 domains of social emotional competence, with teacher assessment and student assessment versions available. In year 1 of the Strong Resilient New York City, schools will administer the teacher assessment only. The screener is completed in an online portal that generates score reports identifying student functioning across 8 social emotional domains as areas of strength, typical functioning, or areas of need with a single composite score. Summary reports that aggregate class, grade, and school level data are also available to support analysis and intervention planning. So I did not know if there were any parents here that did have questions about the DESA, but before I answer any of those questions, one of the things that I want our parent leaders to know is, and you do know this for many of you that have been as part of President's Council for a while, we have been doing and engaging in social emotional learning and assessments since 2015. So our teachers, our building administrators, our guidance counselors have been trained directly with Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence in ways to assess and support SEL. If you visit our schools, like today, I was at a school. I walked into a classroom when it was reading time. They turned on classical music. They had, you know, a vaporizer with beautiful smells coming out of it. They had a little timeout corner where you can go and sit and relax in a beanbag chair. All these different things that are happening across our district are because we've been trained in SEL for so many years. So the competencies that our teachers are asked to evaluate based on DESA is competencies that Dr. D'Antona and I have gone over with all of the members of our school-based staff. So they are familiar with this. They're not just randomly assessing based on a lack of professional learning. So I just want our families to know that we have been doing this in the district for many years. So I didn't know if anyone had questions about the DESA survey before I go on. Nope. Okay. So next, Mike, are you on here? I can hear you. Today is the last day to register for specialized high school admissions test. All registered students will test in December. High school applications are not open yet, but don't wait to start exploring New York City's 700 plus program options. Set up your My Schools account and favorite 25 to 50 programs that interest you. I know that there has been some questions about the announcements that have occurred over the weekend. What I can say is, if you heard the mayor today in his press conference, he said that that it has not been officially decided yet around high school priorities. So once we hear that information, we will make sure that our guidance counselors are communicating that to parents. So there's no official decision that has been made about that. Current fifth grade students for middle schools will receive a personalized welcome letter later this fall, and this letter will include information on how to access your myschools.nyc account to apply through District 25's middle school choice program. So we're looking forward to that. I did see, was there some questions in the chat around?
It says, well, I don't see any DESA questions. This is actually about
Okay.
vaccination, the pop-up vaccinations. It says from Desiree, I have to say our parents were extremely concerned about the people they sent to our school for the pop-up vaccination sites. Also, it took 40 minutes to vaccinate the first person.
Yes, Desiree, we know that, and we have escalated that to the Department of Health. So we are excited to be able to offer this opportunity to our parents, but I don't think the city was fully prepared for the level of interest in the vaccination sites. So what many of our schools are doing is, if there were parents that showed interest and they did not have enough time to vaccinate the children that were online and they had to turn people away, you can make a request through your principal. Today, one of our schools did receive permission, and they're going to be sending another pop-up vaccination site to them. So I want to be very clear that the DOE did not do the organization of any of this. We did open our sites up to allow for the Department of Health to come in and administer the vaccines, but it is not something that was organized by DOE.
And I just want to also say, because I had a few parents reach out to me with concerns that they thought that they were randomly choosing kids to vaccinate them. That is not the case. In the document that was sent out, if you read the whole thing, it does state that the parent must be accompanied the child. So no, your child is not going to be vaccinated randomly. That, people are confusing that with the COVID testing. So I just want to make that clear that if the parent chooses to, that's when your child will be vaccinated and you will be there with your child. So
yes, so that is why you did not have to fill out any consent forms, because you had to be there to vaccinate, the vaccination to occur. And the only thing that had happened is, if you sent somebody else as a family member to get your child vaccinated, they did verbal consent over the phone. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, except the people running it. I know that they were very slow to start. I agree with you, Desiree. So we did escalate that. And like I said, if there were people who were administering that didn't get the vaccine that are still interested, please connect with your principal to see if we can get another pop-up site coming. Like I said, we sent another one today. We got a word that one of my schools is getting a second day of vaccines at the pop-up site. Okay, next is Brilliant New York City. So for District 25, we are doing a family engagement of Brilliant New York City on November 29th at 6 o'clock. Or is it 6:30? Do we have 6:30, Louis? Now it's 6:30?
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Okay, because I have it at 6:30. Okay. So it's 6 o'clock will be our virtual engagement event of Brilliant New York City. What is Brilliant New York City? Starting with kindergarten next year, all elementary schools will begin implementing an accelerated instructional model in heterogeneous classes. That means all 65,000 kindergartners will receive a new instructional model based on the latest research. It's going to expand the number of schools with accelerated programming from 80 to all 800 elementary schools. It builds on the successes of our 3K and pre-K programs, and we will begin by training across the city 4,000 kindergarten teachers to create rich learning environments in their classrooms, to provide age-appropriate project opportunities, and to learn to observe and identify student strengths. Engagement will solicit community feedback to hear about the kinds of learning experiences families want for their children, beginning with all kindergarten students. It takes the latest research and brings it alive for the local community. It honors the expertise of the community, our families and educators, and it builds on the work the district is already doing to ensure all students receive high-quality instruction. Students currently enrolled in gifted and talented programs will experience no disruption to their education program. So on November 29th, as I said, at 6 o'clock, we will be hosting a public engagement for families for conversations and public comments. This is an opportunity to hear from families and members of our community. So I'm very happy to announce that that Francis has graciously agreed to be part of one of the breakout sessions. If you are interested in registering, visit www.d25.nyc/event. Reservation is required, and we look forward to hearing and seeing everyone at this virtual event. So part of what Brilliant New York City is and how it will affect our schools is we currently have 5 of our schools that have gifted and talented programs. And starting next year, that will not be taking place in our kindergarten classrooms. And instead, we will be building on many of the programs that we have across our district that we've been doing that is focused on project-based learning, rigorous instructional planning and implementation for our students. For example, our work with Bank Street. And then students will be placed on individualized pathway where teachers starting from kindergarten will be able to assess giftedness and talents of children and what each child is brilliant in and what each child is talented in. And as students accelerate into the upper grades of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, we are going to be training our principals to look at ways to create opportunities for those students to be able to accelerate and accentuate in the things that they are really good in. So I know that there are some families that may have questions and concerns regarding Brilliant New York City. So I didn't know if, as parent leaders, you've been hearing anything about it or if you have any questions for me.
But I do encourage that parents sign up for that, because I'm just going to be there to gather the questions so we can bring back to our district. So the more questions that we have, the more insight the district has on what needs to be, what the concerns are and what needs to be fixed. I have a question, Danielle. In the Brilliant New York City, in the curriculum, is it set up and so it touches upon audio learners, visual learners, and hands-on? Is that all incorporated in there so it touches upon all types of learners?
Yes. So once, very similar to Mosaic curriculum, Brilliant New York City is really about hearing from parents around what they want to see their kindergarten classrooms look like, and providing us with opportunities to share research around acceleration in elementary school grades and how that can be implemented across all of our schools. The other thing to know for families who may have questions and concerns about the gifted and talented programs that we did have in our elementary schools is that, as many of you have heard, last year, the PEP did not approve to fund the test that was administered for our 4-year-olds that allowed the city to place children in gifted and talented classes in kindergarten. So one of the things that New York City had to do was they had to find alternative ways to assess for giftedness. So this is one of the ways that we want to start engaging with families to see how we can offer high levels of rigorous instruction for our students across our schools, and to see what it can look like. So you'll hear me talk about some of the work and show you examples of some of the work that we've been engaging in across our district for the past 5 or 6 years. Okay, no questions? That was easy. Okay, Francis, that's it for my my report. So I didn't know if anybody had any other generalized questions for me.
Any questions for our superintendent? She's very popular. We got her now.
Yeah. So once again, I want to thank Francis for volunteering to be part of a breakout room for our brilliant New York City engagement. If there are any parent leaders that want to take part in doing that as well, it means a lot to me to be able to provide our families with an opportunity to really voice their opinions, their strengths, their encouragement, whatever parents need to say around what they would like to see as part of, or what they don't want to see as part of brilliant New York City. So if there's anyone who is willing to do that, you can shoot Esther an email and we'll be happy to assign you to a breakout session. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Danielle. And of course, if you have any questions later on, you can always put them in the chat and we'll go back to it. At this time, Christine, are you ready for the minutes? We just want to go back to the minutes so that we can approve them.
I need access to be able to share my screen.
That comes from Louis. Louis. Oh, Louis.
Please give
I'm
me
coming.
permission.
Am I able to do it? I was trying to able. No, it's not letting me.
Oh,
Christine,
it just
ready?
let me.
Yeah, because Lewis
All
has
right,
the
guys.
ultimate.
Guys, let me know if you want me to move it down. I'm moving too fast.
Does anyone have any amendments or additions you want to add to these minutes at this time?
Oh, God bless you. Bless you. God bless you. Allergy. God bless you.
Thank
All
you.
right, then if we can get a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Michelle. And I second that. Christine,
Thank you, ladies.
any objections? So we have approved the minutes. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, at this time, I just want to bring up, we were gonna have Deborah Ferrara here tonight from 209, who was gonna talk about the silent auction. She couldn't be here tonight, but as soon as she can come up here, she will tell you some of the great events that we're doing in our school 209. So hopefully share that with you all. And if any of you have any events that you're doing in your school that are working out very well, please share that with us so that we can share it amongst other schools. Some PTAs in our district are flourishing so well and some are struggling. So we need to share this information so that they can learn from the ones that are doing so well and we can kind of balance it out for our whole district. At this time, I'm going to bring up some issues that have come up, like questions that come to us, and I'm sure it might pertain to your school. So one of the things is that we try to do as PTAs, we try to give as much to our schools, but again, I will reiterate that we try to have to minimize our liabilities, right? Children getting hurt, children getting lost and stuff like that. So I know that some schools want to be engaged in after school programming, and like with transportation and stuff like that. We have to be very careful because we should just leave that responsibility to the parents, right? And not to the schools and not to anything else. If a parent wants to hire a private, transportation for their child, that's on them. But I would recommend that PTAs not get involved with that type of service because that holds a whole, liability to the school, to the PTA, to the board members, and to our district, and so I just want to put that out there. Our bylaws are very important. It kind of tells us exactly how we need to run things. I would recommend everyone on a board to read your bylaws. And if there's something that's outdated in them, then speak to your board to kind of change it. Because the bylaws is what gives you the powers of knowing what to do, how to do it. And often the questions that come to us, they're already in your bylaws. So please look in your bylaws, read them. If something doesn't make sense, you could also go to the A660. You can Google A660 Chancellor's Regulations and they will pop up and you can go. Funds. A question came in saying that funds were raised for 5th grade and they weren't used because there was no graduation. What do we do with those funds? Can they be used for something else? Well, when budgets are made, they have to be approved by the general public. And once they're approved, if you want to now change it, you have to bring it back to the general public and it has to be voted on whatever. If your school is asking for some type of item for the school, and let's say the majority of your parents say, no, we don't want our monies to go to that, 2/3 of that vote is what determines the outcome. So, you still have to bring it out. You can't just decide, well, you know what, although this was approved for this, we're going to use it for that. You can't just move those monies around without parents knowing about it. And I think that's it for the questions that have come in. If Michelle and Christine want to add something, anything that has come up at your end.
Nothing on my end.
Nothing?
Looking for the unmute button. No, I think you covered everything.
Okay, there's something that says PS 79 did a raffle which raised 16,000. Desiree,
Oh,
you want to
nice.
say more about that?
Yes, I'm sorry. In the past, we did raffles that geared towards parents. So this time we kind of flipped it around and geared it towards the kids. So we raffled, first prize was an Oculus, which is a VR system. We did a PSP, PlayStation. We did some Amazon gift cards. We did a smart TV, and we noticed the difference when it's geared towards kids and you're showing them, oh, you could win a prize. They tend to torture their parents a little bit more into getting those raffle tickets sold. And because of COVID, we noticed that parents were a little bit more giving when it came to the raffle. And it was a little bit easier to get the kids to torture their parents to get the raffle sold. We had a really big outcry of just everybody wanting to give, and it was good. So if you gear the raffles more towards the children and less towards the parents, you'll get a bigger outcome.
Yeah, I actually did. I noticed that if we go through the kids, I know, and we're all the parents, so it kind of comes back to us. But yeah, if we anything, we go through the kids, it's better. We get out more of the information.
Yeah,
So I
and
agree with you.
definitely. And I'm glad that it worked out for your school. I would recommend, though, that people read the raffle guidelines in the A660 to make sure that your school is, meeting all the criteria, because with raffles, especially when there's a lot of money to be raised, sometimes there's different issues that may come up. So just to put that out there, but definitely, I agree that if it's geared towards the children, events for children like fall festivals, winter wonderlands and stuff like that, they tend to do well. Plus, it also adds to the children's social emotional, right? Because you have an event to go to where they can see their friends and stuff like that. Anyone else? Thank you, Desiree, for sharing. Anyone else would like to share? Okay, so we have nothing more to report at this time. We'll open it. Our treasurer's report, we haven't been able to go into our bank account, so there's no monies going in, there's no monies going out. So it's still the same. There's no activity.
The only
So
thing you have to, Francis, is figure out if your dues. People are asking me if you need a check for $50 for the dues. You guys, your board has to decide and bring it up if you're gonna charge all PAPTAs of $50 that you would charge for dues every year.
Well, we'll definitely discuss that at our next executive board meeting. Right now, it's very difficult because we haven't probably been able to go in and change things around. And I don't know, we have to find out more of the guidelines and stuff and how we're going to do that.
As of right now, President's Council is still remote. In January, they were gonna go ahead and decide if the meetings that are remote could have the option. So I guess in January, we'll be touching that. And just a reminder, anybody that comes into any of the Department of Education buildings have to be fully vaccinated, have to sign in a sign-in sheet, and always maintain CDC guidelines, which is, what is it, Louis, 6 feet, 3 inches? I don't know, but with
3
the
feet?
separation.
At least
6 inches.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, sorry.
properly. We have a question. Alice is asking, is it true that PTA needs to have a fundraiser every month? No, Alice. It's always nice to have events, like for Halloween, they have Halloween, but you can have a fundraiser. Really, it's supposed to be for what your goals are for the beginning of the year. It's not often recommended to fundraise just to fundraise. So no, there's no rule that you have to have one every month. But if your school happens to have one every month, that's fine, but you don't have to have one.
In Chancellor's Regulation A660, which is like the main where we get all our procedures and protocol and guidelines, there's no such thing that says you have to have a fundraiser every month. However, it does say that you have to have 10 meetings as a PAPTA, a school PAPTA. You do have to have your 10 meetings. In terms of fundraising, nothing at all. There's some schools that know they're going to have a carnival and that's their money maker. And so they go ahead and just do Mother's Day and Valentine's, the things that brings them a lot of money. If, you know, they usually narrowed it down to like 4 or 5, whatever makes them the most money, because that's a routine that they've had and that's worked for them. So it doesn't say that you have to have one every month.
No, and you also have to be mindful of the school. The school has their own fundraisers, and then the PTA has their own fundraisers. So we don't want to bombard parents with fundraisers every week, you know, and then, you know, it's a lot of money that the parents are putting out. So I think if you coordinate like what fundraisers the school is going to be responsible for and what fundraisers the PTA, and kind of make sense out of it, I think the parents will appreciate that.
But I
Yeah.
want to hang out at PS 79. They made some money. What was it?
I know.
16,000?
That's a
16.
lot of money for raffle. Yeah,
I know. I'm like,
16,000.
wow.
Congratulations, guys. Also, remember to be mindful if we're doing a fundraiser that we have to be able to include all the families, whether they are vaccinated or not vaccinated. So if you're doing something in person, remember to include.
We have a question from Stephanie. Will the President's Council have a Zoom in option as well? Are you referring to,
If we go in person.
yeah, we have to, the guideline is, the recommendation is if we go in
Hybrid.
person, we have to have them hybrid for those parents who are not vaccinated or those parents who cannot attend the meeting.
Thank you.
So it's double the
So,
work. Hence,
so,
that's why-
yeah, so in the case, in the event that January, they said we could go in person, we will give that, I mean, we have to give that option. I don't know if you attend the CEC meetings, the Community Education Council meetings that are held the first Wednesday of every month. If you attend those, you're able to see that Louis, and Carly and myself, well, actually Louis, who's the mastermind, goes ahead and puts those, so people are coming in, but a lot of them are online, and you could see how how it works out. So people are at home, the meeting's live here, parents are coming here, and then we have the people that are attending via Zoom, and so it works out.
I mean, the only difference is it's you see the whole room, so you don't get to see people up close. You just see them in the room and you can kind of hear them speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's, you know, it gives you the whole picture and you get to hear and you're present. So that's what would happen if, you know, in January, we have that option to come in. I mean, I'm here. That means if you guys come join me.
Are there any other questions?
I did want to touch something, if I can, on
ahead.
bylaws. I am getting a lot of emails and requests about bylaws. People are getting nervous about your bylaws. It is correct that you have to update your bylaws every 3 years. Now, if you're new to the board and you look at your bylaws and you see that the bylaws are not on the newest template, that is because that just happened like a few years ago. So the new template that came out, so it's all organized. Now, if your bylaws are more than 3 years, all you have to do is go ahead and discuss it with your board, bring it up at a meeting, and go ahead and address if there's any changes to your bylaws. A lot of people are getting really nervous, like, oh, Esther, these are 4 years ago. It's okay. You're just gonna, from the day you started to now, go ahead and update them. And one thing that you want to do, if you do notice that your bylaws are out of date, is go ahead and read them, make any changes or suggestions that you might want to see, bring it up for discussion at a PTA meeting. Open for discussion, that means everybody gets a common opinion, whatever it is. And the following meeting, the next month, you will then go ahead and vote on everything that was brought up. And then that will conclude or update or amend your bylaws. Then the board goes ahead and signs, and that will be the date. So if you say we sign it today, is November 15th, 2021, our bylaws are not due for an update until 3 years from now, which would be 2024. But remember, bylaws can be amended at any time. It doesn't, or change or update it or something. It doesn't mean that you have to wait till the 3-year limit is up. You could go ahead and say, you change your bylaws to go ahead and have meetings at 9 a.m. because that's what's working during the pandemic. Well, once we go back and say 2 years from now, we're in person now and parents can't make 9 o'clock anymore. They could only make after because they work. And now we're in person. And so then you might want to have to amend your bylaws for that. But there's a lot of things that you could look at the amendments. Membership, like one of the biggest things that you have to look at your bylaws is succession. What happens if your PAPTA president finds a job and she can't do the position anymore, or moves, or whatever it is, or secretary or treasurer? What is a succession? What does your bylaws say? Do they move up? Or do you just have to have an election? So those are the things that you got to look at. Another time of the meeting is another big one. And another one is the donation of that parents do. A lot of PAPTAs had a big amount, which was like $50, $75. And that might have to be changed now due to the financial situation and the pandemic. And you know your community best. So and that's it. That's just what I wanted, because those are a lot of questions that I'm getting on bylaws and stuff. And again, you're always welcome to go to the DOE website under parent involvement. You go to PAPTAs and it gives you all the information that you need in regards to bylaws, chances, regulations, any questions that you might have. And last meeting, Francis went ahead and mentioned about what is it? Hold on a second, because I don't want to give you wrong information. Give me a second. So Francis went ahead and mentioned about the PTAlink.org. That's a very useful information website that gives you answers a lot of questions. And basically, like she said last time, it was a group of parents in Brooklyn. A lot of them were lawyers, and they went ahead and decided to put this organization together, and they're very, very helpful. The board has to agree to see if they want Rachel to come, who is a founder, to the next meeting here and speak on PAPTA link.org. So hopefully she'll be coming next month to speak to all of you and introduce herself and tell you a little bit about what they're up to.
And please send us like things that you want to see here that we speak about at President's Council. Sometimes we just like try to come up with agendas and we just talk about the questions that come in. I also shared the calendar for the rest of the year. It's in the chat. The next meeting is December 20th. I also wanted to mention, I know Danielle mentioned it before, when I attend meetings and I hear of all the different things that are needed, not only in our district, but everywhere in New York City, in all the schools, it seems we need more diversity and more of our history being taught in the same as, for example, a lot of the times we get taught certain people in our history and there's a lot of people left out. So I'm trying to work on something and I'm going to hone it even more. It's just an idea, something that I'm calling Bring in the Heroes. And I feel like in every culture, there's a hero, right? In my culture, I don't learn a lot about my culture. I'm Puerto Rican. I was born and raised here in New York City. So I consider myself Puerto Rican American because I still have those traditions, but most of them are, Americanized here. But I don't learn a lot about my heroes in the school that somehow was left out. So it's my duty to find out myself. So I'm giving that cultural responsibility to all the parents and all the kids to come in and share a hero within their culture or someone else's culture. It could be, you don't have to be like, I can speak about a man. Someone could speak, you could speak about anyone, learn about a person and bring it into the school. So I'll give you an example. My son just did a play and he learned about a woman, a nun, an Italian nun called Mother Cabrini. I've never heard of her. And there's actually statues in New York City of her. So how great would it be for someone to come in, talk about Mother Cabrini, even dress up as her, and just be like her and say, here's my hero. And then that day, all those students will know about that hero. So I'm just challenging everyone to bring in the heroes. There's a lot of people that we need to learn about, but it's not in our curriculum. So I'm going to work on it at an elementary level, middle school, high school, college. Obviously, as things progress, what is a hero to someone may be different. Some people might see someone as a hero, where somebody might see them as not a hero. So that'll be at a college level when you can actually dissect it and decide what is a hero to you. But at the level of elementary, it's just about awareness and tolerance for other cultures. So if you have something to add to it, please. It's just an idea that I'm coming up with, and Danielle is also working something similar to that in another school. So we're kind of trying to put it, it's a bigger project than what we're saying. So we need everyone's input for now, but I call it Bring in the Heroes. So we'll see where it goes, and hopefully our district can be the first ones to model it. So get going, guys. Let's get going. Any questions on that? All right, so I don't know if anyone has any other questions. We want to thank.
Wait, do I see anything or no?
I mean,
Hold
does
on.
put school store, fall festival. I mean, I think she's talking about some of the
Movie
events
night.
at her school.
Yeah.
Remember,
I just
on movie
wanna-
night, we cannot call it movie night, right?
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Oh.
So,
Just bring it up.
Call it family night. That's the best thing.
call
to-
it family night, call it whatever you want. Yeah, it could all be
But don't
outside.
call
I
it
mean,
movie.
if you can do it outside, you got to be mindful about the weather. And just don't call a movie night, call it something else, get together night.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Family night.
copyright issues with that when you actually, I'll give you an example. When I took a class once, like aerobic instructors, when they play music, it has to be copywritten, like they have to pay for certain tapes. They can't just play Michael Jackson's song and charge people to take their class. So it's just like you're kind of making money off of someone else's work, and it's taken very seriously. So there's a lot of copyright laws out there. So that's why they call it family night. So you're basically just selling the event and not the movie. If you call it movie night, you're selling the movie.
I like family fun night. I've been trying to do that at our middle school too. So
Yeah.
maybe
You
we
just
can
have
make
to
it a
be careful.
you got to
district-wide thing.
remember that you just have to remember that we don't know who works, the parents, we don't know their jobs. Some of them might be working at Disney and, might see that you're having a Disney movie and charging, and, they might have to tell on you because that's part of their job. I'm just saying. And
Or someone was
the-
an actor in that film and said, hey, where's my residual? You're showing my
Yeah.
film and I'm not getting paid.
so that's why we change it away. We stay away from movie night, family night, or any other name that you might want to put on it. That'd be great. And a lot of the times before, the PAPTA would make their money out of, selling the slice of pizza, juices, or some popcorn. And that's how they would make their money that night.
Okay, guys, I want to thank you all for being parent leaders and coming here to this meeting and learning the information firsthand and trickling it down to other parents who couldn't be here tonight. We appreciate you. You make our district great. And if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:22.
But you want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
The next meeting is December 20th. I don't know if I mentioned that. So
Yeah.
yes, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Oh, wow.
We appreciate you, appreciate all the small things, right, in life, so that all the things that you have seem bigger.
So, so the days off will be Thursday, the 25th and the 26th for your families. I hope you have a well rested and enjoyable Thanksgiving, whatever you do those 2 days. And we'll see you on December 20th at 6:30, same channel.
Wow, can't
Yeah.
believe it's gonna be December already.
Yep.
It's the last meeting for this year.
Yep. Happy
right.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, happy
I keep
Thanksgiving.
forgetting.
And I get
Yeah,
a
I can't believe
motion to end
we're
the
there
meeting.
already.
I know.
Christine, can I get a motion to end the meeting? It's
Oh, yes. Motion to end the meeting.
second.
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, if there's no other, we will be adjourning this
Stop
meeting. If you
recording.
Stay around. We'll be hanging around.
It's 7:24 p.m.
Good night, everybody.
7:24 p.m. You sound so professional.